Hi, I'm Robert Mullins of Crowdfund Beat here with Jeremiah Owyang to talk about the collaborative economy. What does that mean, Jeremiah?
Thanks for having me, Robert. The collaborative economy is looking at how business is changing in the future. Ownership and access between funding, design, production, shipping, marketing is going to be shared between people, startups, and corporations. It'll be very hard to tell who is a customer, a stakeholder, and an employee in the future. It's all mushing together.
And what does that mean for customers? You know, usually you buy a product, you use it, you might buy another one from them. What does the collaborative economy mean for consumers?
Well, when it comes to let's take apart just crowdfunding or crowd lending of people are putting their own resources. Really what it is the highest form of loyalty. A commitment for shared fate with that product that can come out. And this is something people say, oh, we've seen this with shareholders. Yes, perhaps. That's more of a transient nature versus people say, we want to see that product through. And these people who are investing in these products, these people formerly called customers or consumers, are actually caring about the extended venture of this product. And it means that they will advocate that product. They will help improve that product, and they will help take that to market. So they'll feel a sense of ownership. There's some good things and some bad things that come along with that. But it changes the dynamic. It means that customers now become like employees.
And you know, usually you buy a product, if you like it, you buy another one. You have a customer helpline, they have focus groups. How is this more involved for the consumer?
Well, the big trend that we're seeing is that every single business function or department inside of a corporation or a company can now be crowd augmented, crowd sourced, crowd collaborated. It's not always crowdsourced, by the way. That's a very limited term. So the big trend here is the crowd itself is becoming part of the company. For example, customer care, that's what you brought up. We've already seen a number of customer care communities. There's some hosted on the Lithium network where the customers are self-supporting each other, or in Spiceworks, an IT community where the IT professionals help each other, even though that brand may not even be there. So we start to see the crowd themselves are becoming part of that company. And it means that the company or the brand or the product is something bigger now. They've secured their place in the ecosystem by connecting to the rest of the market.
This would tend to disrupt the current system where the company, its CEO, its C-level executives, its managers, decide how the company is run, or shareholders invest their money as a vote of confidence in the company. Are those forces going to be welcome to turn over control to the crowd?
It's in addition. So just as we've had board meetings, we've had Wall Street meetings, investor meetings, we've had meetings with financial analysts, we've had meetings with all this. Now the executive team will have to have meetings with the crowd. Sure, we've had customer meetings, but this is much different. Imagine the top 1% of customers who are so engaged in the future of that company or the product that they're willing to put their own money to prepay or to pre-fund for something to happen. They are now stakeholders, so it means that executives have to tap into them. And it's a new form of influencer that they have to rely on. Now, the upside, of course, is that this can help them scale. The downside is they have less control, because in the past, it's about the company telling the customers, here's what you buy, this is what we offer, that's what you're going to buy. So that's changing now, where the customer's saying, nope, here's what you're going to make. I'm telling you because I'm giving you the money to do it.
Let me ask you this, the crowdfunding in particular, because that's what we're all about. How is that going to engage or promote the crowd-based economy?
It's one of the early pinnings. It's only part of this collaborative economy across every single function, every single vertical, and every single industry. So it's only part of what I see. But the big trend that I see is people themselves are becoming empowered to either buy things and share them many times with each other, such as on Airbnb, they share their home, or they share their car and Lyft, or they're sharing their home products using Yerdle or Nextdoor. And if they don't want to share it, now they can build it. So they're using Indiegogo, they're using Kickstarter, but we're also seeing people build things, and it's a form of crowdfunding like Etsy or custom-made crowdfunding.com, which is a makers community. Or even the tech shop here in San Francisco, people learning how to make products. They make unique one-of-a-kind products, and then they're sold in the front of in front of the shop. So the big trend here is the crowd, the people, they're getting what they need from each other rather than from corporations. Right. This is one of the biggest disruptions that we've seen in business and in the economy for a number of years. This has radical implications if people get what they need from each other. Sometimes these things are gifted to each other. That actually reduces taxable revenues at a federal level. And this is why the Fed is looking at crowdfunding at a more serious note. Massive economic changes here.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Fed, the Securities and Exchange Commission and the federal government has recently enacted a rule that individuals can invest in companies, not through the SEC, not buying stock, but in crowdfunding and investing. What are the implications of that?
So putting parameters, it makes sense, and this is how we see the government, whether it's federal, state, or local, or city, or municipal, move into this collaborative economy. We're already seeing, let's take some other examples, ride sharing, car sharing. The California PUC has now deemed that it's legal. We see that Dallas is resisting that. No surprise, that's the home of big oil, right? They're resisting it. And then we see that Airbnb is legal and illegal in different types of cities. And when the cities come around to help put parameters, they bring certain standards. And then when they start to define those standards, they can eventually get taxable revenues from that. So you can see how we're starting to meet in the middle. So let's take that same set of things and apply it back to crowdfunding. So as the government looks at that, tries to create some standards, tries to create some safeties, it helps us to have some levels of safety. And now the government can help do their role, which is to facilitate commerce in the world, in this nation as well.
Well, speaking of Uber, they're the company that if you want to hail a town car between scheduled rides, you can just have an app on your phone that calls Uber. And you were telling us that Google has invested in Uber. What's the significance of that? And are other big companies investing in these crowdsourced solutions?
It's actually very significant. And Google's invested the largest amount from Google Ventures, over $250 million, I believe. I think it's 260. I forget this. It doesn't matter. The average funding amount I see is around 10 million. So to see that much go into Uber when they've already raised over 50 already is a massive amount. So what does it mean? Actually, it's not really about town cars. The Uber's mission, when you look carefully, is about serving what you need on demand. So it finds idle goods and services that are in your local area. This is key, not in some warehouse or fulfillment center like Amazon in Seattle. It finds at a local level, and using an app and mobile technologies and location technologies helps the buyer and the seller to quickly meet, and Uber takes a cut of that transaction seamlessly at a local level. And because Uber holds no inventory, their capital expenditures are very low. Their operating expenses are very low. They're really a marketplace facilitating it. So when you look really carefully, Uber, when they partner with other Google products like mobile phones, apps, Google Shopping Express, which is already delivering goods from local retailers, and Google+, it means Google will move into the local marketplace space. What I'm saying is, Uber, in my opinion, I predict, is the next Amazon. Uber is the next Amazon.
Because they can deliver other things than a town car.
It can deliver anything in a local area that's idle. And this is this big trend we're seeing in the collaborative economy. Untapped resources like money in crowdfunding are being activated for people who need this. So the big trend here is people, peer-to-peer, are getting what they need from each other rather than from corporations.
Yeah.
Massive trend.
Yeah. Well, historically, there used to be dozens of automakers in the United States. Now there are 3, and then some of the Japanese. Yeah, 4. Okay. And same thing with airlines; they've diminished over years. Do you see the same kind of shaking out happening with crowdsourced businesses?
Yes, there's over 20 car sharing, ride sharing, every variation is possible, plus there's scooters, bikes, buses. So that can't sustain. So typically what I see in any market, there's only room for 3 players for one particular use case. And the players usually fall in this category. The largest, the best, and different. And just take food, fast food. There's McDonald's, 28 billion served. Burger King, have it your way. Taco Bell, the unbun. So I tend to see, and I've seen a lot of disruption markets shake out. There tends to be 3 dominant players in the end state. So that we cannot sustain with 20 different players.
So how does someone decide what companies to support with crowdfunding, given there's such a wide, market for all these different services?
Well, certainly there's a number of ways, and there's even roll your own crowdfunding types of tools. Like we saw Locatron build their own example. So to me, that's a feature set that's going to be widely available. It's just a form of commerce, right? Social commerce, online commerce. So it's a feature set that'll be available everywhere. But I expect to see that crowdfunding, that aspect, will start to be part of every corporation in the future. So imagine a buy now in a checkout box, but also future products, invest now. Levi's, Legos, Toyota, Hyatt, Hilton, Walmart.
Yeah.
They could all have that as a new component. And that's the highest form of loyalty, the highest way to predict market demand because people have prepaid for it. And it means that companies can finally build product to spec without having excess inventory because they know the actual market demand because people have prepaid.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity.
Last question. Why is this something that you have decided needs a specific focus of your practice?
Thank you. So this is my 100% coverage. I used to cover full-time social media, which was also called social business. And I saw that social media democratized ideas and media. And I'm seeing the same thing happen to the physical world. It's the exact same patterns. People are getting what they need from each other, ideas and media. And now, in the collaborative economy, they're getting what they need from each other. People, services, time, space, and money. To me, it's the same thing, but it's the next evolution of social, is the collaborative economy.
Terrific. Thank you for your time. Jeremiah Owyang is here with us, and I'm Robert Mullins for Crowdfund Beat.